The Madden 26 meta has officially been set, and we are going to be breaking it down for you guys here today. Now, offensive meta, pretty much seen right now with the latest MCS ladders and kind of seeing what some of the top players in the world are doing. We're going to be covering kind of a full-fledged meta report here. We're going to be going over the offensive meta, the defensive meta, kind of what we learned this weekend from the ladders, and just kind of helping you guys stay on top of what's good and what is the most effective way to be playing this game. Now, if you guys want to get any of my full offensive or defensive ebooks, they are available in our school community. It's only $10 to become a member. It gets you access to all of our offensive and defensive ebooks for both Madden and for college football, and expect some of those to get updated with some of the things we learned this past weekend. But anyways, wanted to get into the MCS ladders and also just kind of highlight some of the things that we're seeing in terms of the games and the film and all that stuff. So first and foremost, I'm just going to come out in a basic nickel set 146 just to kind of teach some things from this 146, and just for sake of demonstration here, I'm not going to be running crossfire. I'm going to just be running the basic coverages here because I just want you to be able to actually see what is going on. Let's see if I can actually, do I not have a cover 3 sky? There we go, cover 3, Tampa 2, and then I'll put crossfire in this spot right here, and then we should be good to rock. I'm gonna come out and cover 4 drop. So anyways, offensive playbook meta, I'm gonna go over a couple of them. I actually released a massive video on the channel earlier this week covering the top 5 offenses in Madden 26. Also have another one covering the top 5 defenses, which ironically both of those videos are very, very, very much so relevant to the Madden 26 meta. We're pretty much seeing probably about 60-ish% of comp players right now running the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive playbook. I'm going to show you a couple of the best plays. I have that playbook loaded up. And then really the rest of them are probably either running the Jets offensive playbook. I would say probably about 30% are running Jets. Maybe a small, maybe like 5 to 8% are running Chargers. And then about 2% are running Falcons or just something completely, off meta. But generally, what we're seeing is we're seeing Jaguars, Jets, we're seeing Chargers, we're seeing a little bit, and then we're seeing a little bit of Falcons, right? That's kind of generally what we're seeing in terms of a legitimate meta that is formed. Now, why are so many people running the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive playbook? Well, it starts with they actually have some really, really good audible around type of things that are super helpful. For example, we have a single back tight Y off here with a wide zone, a 0-1 trap, and a short corner. Short corners are the number one route right now in Madden 26. And we are also going to be going over those in this little breakdown here. And then they also have this halfback zone weak. So anyways, they have some good under center stuff. Like, for example, this motion X whip. Why is this good? It has a short corner on it, right? If it has a short corner on it, it's going to be a good play. Pretty much the 3-ish routes that you're really seeing people build their offense around, and technically 4 in maybe even 5 is you're seeing short, sharp cutting corners. You're seeing return routes. These are stock return routes that are built into the play. And then you're also seeing short corners or sharp cutting corners. You're seeing stock cheat motion plays with cheat motion wheels. And then you're seeing stock fades. Now I'm going to show you those routes and in this as well. But they do have, single back wing slot with the halfback stretch, the halfback dive, the halfback zone weak. They also have a power run in this play that is actually a pretty good under center run. So anyways, they just have some good stuff under center, good red zone formations. Really, this is why Jaguars is kind of the top tier playbook, is because it does have every good formation in the game, but it also has a really, really good red zone things that you can do from the red zone perspective. Well, most people are running, if you're asking me, like, what are the top 5 formations in the game right now, this doubles flex wide close. And again, we talk about, like, what are the best routes in the game. This is partially why this is so good and why it's meta, because it has the best routes in the game. For example, you have this play right here, Y sail. This has a speed flat to the running back. It has a deep corner to the tight end, which you cannot hot route. And then it has one of those top 5 routes, those stock fades, those little wiggly fades that are stock. You can't hot route them. those are really valuable routes in this game. It also has a plethora of short corners. You have motion angle Y wheel with a short corner on the slot receiver. You have also a ton of short posts within this. You have PA snag here with play action blocking, but if you go to this play flood H post, this play has a short corner and a short post, and you can build a lot of really powerful combos around this. It also has kind of some other things, such as this unique drag route from motion dig under and this unique fade route from motion halfback out. So this is what makes a meta formation, is does it have the meta or the power routes that you need to have a high degree of success. Now, another thing that this has, as I said, this playbook in general has, pretty much every formation that you could want. It also has, if you come over here to this bunch X nasty, it has the cheat motion plays that are really valuable. So what we have here is we have motion cross post, motion RPO zone alert, motion HB choice, and then this last one, kind of a couple different things you could realistically do here. You could run motion corner under. This might be one of the best man beating plays in the entire game. You also have smash return with those return routes we were talking about. The stock drive wide corner with this, and I would say this is like an honorable mention for a power route in this game. The running back speed in routes are really helpful for attacking any kind of man coverage. You also have some unique plays here in these like little goal line money plays here that they have. What I would probably suggest is motion corner under, because you get that return route, which I think is a very valuable route. Anywho, so short posts, short corners, return routes, stock fade routes, and cheat motion wheels are really the name of the game. You also have this Y off trio close. We're seeing a lot of people. I was surprised actually in how many times I saw people run this formation specifically, but it does have an auto motion play. It has a smash, a return route out of smash return that is really good. I'll probably just take the run out, honestly, and just put that smash return in there, just because I think the smash return is really good from this. You also have an 0-1 trap. I feel like you have to have that. I'll take this motion PA play out and put smash return in there. But anyways, you just have a lot of things. Another formation that we did see, I guess I was talking about, like, what are the best formations? It's really the doubles flex wide close, the bunch X nasty. Those are like 1A, 1B. Those are the two best. And then really 3 through 5, there's a lot of like variation there. And it kind of depends on, is that your main offense? Is that like your number one play? Or are you just audibling to that for a couple money plays here and there? Really what we saw in the ladders, I would say, is we saw a high amount of tight doubles be called with the short corner, short post that they have within this one. As you see here, we have a short corner on the right. We have a short corner on the left. This play, curl, get this play in your audibles. Really good play. You also have another play here, this motion cross halfback sneak. Really effective play to have. You kind of have to have at least those two. Another thing that we saw, though, from a meta perspective, and this is what another reason why I think Jags is really relevant. This cluster formation as an audible formation is really good. It's really good to audible to this because you have a short corner on the right, you have a short post on the right, and then if you wanted to, you have auto motion within those plays as well. So super valuable formation. Now in the red zone, we actually saw a pretty high amount of offenses that were really based around kind of these two money runs here. The basically just quarterback runs in general, but quarterback power and quarterback zone are very effective runs in the red zone. And then we also saw like a little bubble screen action. A lot of people like the bubble screen down there. And then really from there, it was just kind of creating, whatever pass play that they wanted to, really from their hot routes. But you did see trips tight end probably clear as the number one red zone esque formation in the game, and so I thought that was super interesting. They actually have a really good five wide in my opinion. They're Y posts. You got verticals with the seam streaks. You got Y corner with a short corner S post on the backside, and then I wish we had a quarterback zone run, but we don't. We do have stick and nod though with the return route if you wanted to put that in there. But anyways, let's actually get on the field and show you some of these plays. And we'll talk about Jets in just a minute. And we'll also talk about the defensive side of the ball. So what a lot of people are doing right now, I'm going to give you a couple big picture concepts. You could cross apply these to your own formation, okay? It doesn't really even matter what playbook you run. You can cross apply these principles to your offense. The big concept is you're going to take this short corner Rice is on, and you are going to stem him all the way down. Now, when you stem him, you want to use the left analog stick. You don't want to use the left D-pad. But you see, he stems all the way down, and it makes this route like a slant out. And it's really difficult for the default alignment to be able to defend that route, especially if you put the tight end on, let's say, a streak instead of a flat, because now that zone defender is really not going to get outside. And you see, we're just able to throw this again and again and again. Now, against man coverage, this can still be very effective. Man coverage is very inconsistent this year. So that's why you want to give yourself multiple man beating options. For example, on this play, I have a post, I have a drag, and I have a short corner, all that can beat man coverage. So you see here, looking at that short corner, and he is actually able to get the separation against the man-to-man coverage defender. So that is like number one. You have to have that right there. Like that is a really important play in your playbook, in my opinion. Now, as far as other plays, I'll show you one out of PA Snag that I actually really like right now. And this one is really good at using return routes. So this concept right here is we're going to streak this slot receiver. We're going to drag the tight end. We're going to return route this outside right receiver here. And then we're going to table the running back. What this is it's an inverted zig, basically. And so what's going to happen is you'll see that as this kind of play develops, that return route, which I don't know what just happened over there on the right side. Things got a little crazy over there, I'm not going to lie. But what happens is that return route gives you something consistent against man. So you have, let me go back to PA Snag. You have your drag, you have your short post, which both should win. And then you also have your turn route. So again, 3 man beating routes. Really, it's kind of also another thing we're seeing is that generally people are running 3 man beating routes on a play. But you see, normally one of them is going to clear. Whether it's the drag, whether it's the post, whether it's return route, that is really hard to tell in this game from a consistency perspective. But one of the routes is almost always going to get some level of separation, right? Even if it's a small window. Okay. Another thing that we're seeing, and this is really for more of a double mug, is this audible from doubles to bunch or from bunch to doubles. But basically the audible around a little, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be like, the thing with Jaguars is you could audible to like literally 15 formations. It doesn't have to be that extensive. It could just be 1 or 2 formations. But I do think in general, the audible from doubles flex to bunch X nasty or from bunch X nasty to doubles flex is probably the best audible in the game, because it effectively, what it's going to do here is the best way to run doubles flex from what I've seen is to have your tight end on the wide side of the field. And the best way to run bunch, from what I've seen, is to have your tight end on the wide side of the field. So you see that? But the beauty of this is you see that it actually flips the nickel corner, which can misalign them from a man coverage perspective. And then, here's some of the plays, that people like out of this, but this motion cross post with this cheap motion wheel, and then having, a backside drag. With how good drag routes are in this game, in my opinion, you should have a drag on literally every single play. Drag routes or return routes. One of those 2 routes, and maybe even both of them, those are the best check down routes in the game. Another thing that we're seeing because of the way the meta is shaping up is that yellow zones are very bad in this game right now. So what people are doing to take advantage of that is you're getting more of the things that you got last year a little bit, which is this flat zig combination developing even more traction. As you see, the yellow just can't defend that, and we're able to just pop and pepper them, with those kind of routes. Another route combo, because of that is developing some traction, is this one out of the Y off trio close. And you can really do it out of anything, but it's basically just motion mesh rail, but it's just a Durham version. So it looks like that. This combo is developing a lot of steam because the yellow zones really struggle to defend the running back route. And then obviously, if they have to use her over there, it's going to be hard to use her the crosser over all the way across the field. So that's another play that I just think is developing a lot of traction. But overall, one of the things that I just think that like just needs to be said: run these short corners, man. These short corners are so good. Like a combo like this, really hard to defend in this game. And honestly, 5 out in general, you're not seeing a whole lot of like extra protection. You're not. You're seeing a whole lot of 5 out. You're seeing a little bit of extra protection, maybe on like a big down or something. But generally, send 6 in this game is not really good. And honestly, blocking the running back is fine, but it's honestly not even really necessary right now. There are some blitz because it's not 100% consistent that you're actually going to block. So we're really seeing like a send 4 and then a 5 out meta. Generally speaking, is kind of what we're seeing in terms of offensive route combos and then defensive coverages from the back end. The other thing about this formation we didn't cover yet is Y sale. Such a good play. If you guys want to learn this offense specifically, it's dropping in our school community this week. This is a insane formation. But anyways, let's jump into the Jets playbook, and then we'll also hit on the defensive side of the ball. So we're in Jags or Jets playbook now. The first one we were in was Jags, and I wanted to show you just kind of the main difference between these two offenses in general. And one of them, in my opinion, is really just I think Jets overall is a little bit deeper and simultaneously a little simpler. Jaguars playbook is kind of like it's got a lot of formations, but it doesn't have everything from every formation. Whereas Jets has by far and away the best doubles and the best bunch X nasty. So you're going to see here. And again, I believe that those two formations specifically are like must run in this game. I think those are the clear cut best formations in this game. Now, we do have some other stuff as well, but those two formations are like in priority, right? You also have, even though you don't have a great trips, you have this ace slot. What's nice about this ace slot is you do have the quarterback power. You have the RPO bubble and you have X spot, and this X spot has a nice post route to the tight end and a short corner. And then on that last slot there, if you wanted to put a base in there, probably good for like a red zone or a read option type of situation. So what I would do is put like base here, and then you have your two tight ends, you have your two receivers, and then what I would do is also have your single back set up. So for example, their single back here. Let's see, what was I actually? Was it single back wing maybe that I was looking at? Or maybe it was just basic deuce close, but you have stretch, a one dive, duo, right? Your standard stuff. Jets also has a good tight Y off. I think it's really important to have these tight Y off formations because it's really going to help you in terms of like, oh, they're giving me a really good look to audible down. Let me audible down and take advantage of that. So we have a bunch X, we have a single back bunch X nasty. And what I would honestly probably suggest that you do here is basically the motion is cool, but motion X whip is really the main play because why? It's got a short corner. So anyway, those are a couple of things within this playbook. You also in Jets have a pretty good strong close. Like it's a pretty decent one. It has a fullback dive in it. It has a stretch. And then what I would probably do is have this angle out play. You have that tight end short post, which is really cool. And then I would probably have, if you wanted to have like an actual running back run, you could have that in there as well. But anyway, I just think the strong close is good. The thing is, you're going to find with the Jets playbook specifically, their red zone is a little weaker than Jags is, but I would say like they definitely make up for it in everything else that you have. Okay. This split close is kind of cool because it has this play mesh. This play mesh is really good. And what you can do with split close here is you can put a tight end at fullback, as you see right there, and then I could put a tight end in the slot. So let's say I was in like a red zone situation. So I have my two tight ends split close, and then I audible, and I can get to all my stuff. I can get to a slot if I want to. So that's just some free sauce there. Again, this offense will be in our school community, and and pretty much the write ups are already in there. The videos are coming in this week. Like this offense is a very very good offense in this game. You have a short corner, which I really value a short corner this year. I think you have to, and this short corner specifically is pretty nice. You'll see it'll run really nice, and then you have a back like you have a really good little mini scheme out of the split close. Okay, that you can use in the red zone specifically to score more touchdowns. You have this fullback inside, which we know that fullback inside has been an amazing run for years in this game. Like it's a good run play. So you have a couple little things. You don't have like single back wing slot or whatever, but you do have some stuff in here. Their wing slot offset has you really want to prioritize these quarterback runs. The other thing about Jets playbook that is a little different than Jags is, let's say we go to like a 5 wide in here, they're going to have, as you see, the quarterback zone run. So they're going to have that. We have corner with the short corner. We got 4 verticals. I don't know that they have a short post play, but they do have, I know they do have the return route. So this is a pretty nice little 5 wide type of deal. And then I think it was an empty ace. Empty ace is kind of like almost like a wildcat formation of its own, kind of a unique little formation that you can have here as well. So anyway, Jets does have more than enough stuff to overcome their red zone, but their red zone is their weakness, okay, if you will. So anywho, that being said, let's see here. Let's go through and take a look at some of their passing stuff. So doubles, Y off nasty, not doubles flex close is really your bread and butter formation. Pretty much the same here. Couple other little things that they can do. You got these motion fade plays with the posts and stuff. Really, the biggest thing is Y sail, motion angle Y wheel, P snag. Those are staples. And then really after that, got some variation. If you want to run the ball, you could have a run play in there. I think this RPO peak glance is probably the way to go there. Anyways, so then the thing that makes Jets really cool though is they have the best bunch X nasty in the game. They really do, because of this play motion corner under. You have a short corner on the left and a motion return route. So you can build around that play. You have RPO zone alert, motion cross post, motion HB choice, just one of the best cover 3 beaters in the game. If you don't need that, honestly, you could get into some other stuff here. They have a ton. This drive corner with the running back auto motion is really, really good. And then they also have like this motion clear HB seam, kind of a unique one, that same motion wide corner. Like they just have everything you need from Bunch X Nasty, in my opinion. So very, very good formation there. They do have a bunch tight end that has some stuff. So they have the RPO bubble. They also have a QB wrap that if you wanted to try to run that, like that's kind of a fun little play. But the other thing that they have that a lot of people are kind of missing with Jets is their tight open is, I think, the best tight open in the game because it has the best routes. It has a short post. It has a short corner. It has an auto motion. Like you have really powerful routes. This play motion spot wide post, really valuable to really valuable play, extremely valuable. This play spot X option has that outside guy on the corner. Drive stereo flat has the outside guy on the left side on the corner. And then if you want to have a run play, you can have a run play. I don't even think you need a run play because tight seams has 2 stock fades, which are, crazy plays to have in a tight open type formation as well. So, I mean, a lot of things you could do, speed option, all kinds of stuff, right? Whatever you want to do there, but some really, really powerful plays there. Here's the trips tight and offset stuff. They do have a speed option and they do have an RPO bubble. So, like it's not as good as the trips tight end is this year, which is kind of wild to say that. But it is serviceable, and you can still do basic trips combos from this at a pretty high level. The doubles Y off nasty has a couple really cool plays. It has this RPO zone read bubble, motion smash with a short corner on both sides. And then really from there, it's up to you, kind of what else you want to add in here. If you want to have 2 or 3 other runs, honestly, that makes a lot of sense because this could be just a audible to formation real quick. We talked about tight open. The empty ace formation. Let me show you this. So let's get on the field here, and I'll actually show you some of this stuff that's just slightly different. So the big one is bunch X nasty. So when you go to bunch X nasty, motion corner under, stem this corner down. Now you can do stuff like streaking your running back, and then you can kind of have like a crazy, just a crazy play off of this. Watch that little stem down corner, just gets underneath everything, gets in a nice spot. Very difficult to defend. They're going to have to switch it to defend it. And then that's why we can actually take advantage of that. So let's say we know that they're going to have to switch stick to defend that corner right on the left side. What I would do would be something like this. I think this combo right here, very, very good, because they have to go left to stop that route. If they go left to stop that route, then you have your other corner on the right-hand side that is going to be in a really good spot. So anyway, just some stuff there. You have your, your doubles stuff, which is I love this offense. I think this offense is going to be a top 5 offense all year. These two formations, bunch X nasty and doubles flex wide close, they are going to be top 5 offenses all year long because they just have the best routes in the game. And they also have a really favorable alignment for like a switch stick kind of meta, which is truthfully what we're in defensively. And while, again, I will get into defense in just a minute. So the other thing I was going to show you is when you audible out here, you go into this chips formation, but you can also audible down into your tight Y off stuff. And it's a relatively quick audible. So if you want to just audible down, run the ball, you can easily do that. I'm not a runner, but if you want to run, you can. One of the other things we didn't even get into is this RPO read play where we're going to put people in conflict that way. And then you have this tackle trap. This tackle trap is kind of a unique handoff, and it's actually a pretty decent little play. So anyways, you also have all the other stuff. Like you have the auto motion RPO alert, which is such a good play in this game. Like this play, it's criminal that we don't see this play ran more at the top levels, because that play is brutally difficult to defend. And then you also have your trip stuff. But really, I mean, even like your bunch tight end, you could mix this audible in right here. Little short side bunch tight end, hitting that little RPO bubble that's so annoying. Make them have to defend that. And then you have other stuff that you can go to off of that, right? So anyways, I just think Jets definitely is up there. It has a short post as well in their bunch tight end off this boomerang play. You don't have to keep the boomerang motion. What I would normally do would really just be like, I like to flat, zig, streak, and then you see here. Now let's watch this crazy route on the right. I don't know what the running back's doing here. We'll just let him do his thing, whatever. But basically, watch this little whip. Kind of a wild whip route, but then you have that short post. If I could get a better throw, that gets into a soft spot of the defense. Anywho, these are some of my top plays. I think triple out is grossly underrated in this game, and I would set it up just like this right here. Very, very underrated play. Double corner is really back. The triple out double corner is going to beat cover 2, and then that short corner, that just breaks coverages. Just puts coverages in a tough spot. So, anyways, only other thing I want to show you in Jets is just briefly, because I didn't cover it in Jags, is cover the red zone. The biggest thing with red zone is if you can run the ball. Running the ball is the most efficient way to score in the red zone. And these quarterback runs, you basically can't fumble. It's very, very difficult to fumble in this game, especially with the quarterbacks. So you have that going for you. You also have the air truck stuff, which is just flicking the right joystick up and trucking. And you see, you can do that on a speed option too. So like the speed option is cool. It's not as good as the QB zone. I'll just admit that. Like what I would probably do is untarget like this left side guy, and then honestly just try to do something like that. But these are good problems to have. And I just think the quarterback runs in this game are really, really good. Now, that being said, I actually want to go through this ace slot stuff. So you have QB power here. So what I would do is I'd obviously call this with my trips to the field. So like that. and this thing is just a hammer. I mean, it really is. It's stupid simple. It's hard for them to stop at. Every now and then you'll get that kind of stuff. But what I would do is like, just work on your run protection. I think generally, what I would do is like untarget the backside guy, ID the user, and maybe double team that guy over there so he doesn't shoot in. And this thing is just a money run. So you have the money run, right? But then you also have, a bubble screen. If they give you a look for the base, you have that. And then you have X spot with that short post to the tight end, which is super valuable. So if you want to, you can actually leave the short corner, by the way, too. But what I like to do is a flat, an in route, and a slant, or if you want a short cross. But I think the slant is just fine. And you're going to see here that in route right there is really a money route. It's just going to get into a spot on the field that's really difficult to defend. Here's the bubble. Obviously, if the bubble's not there, we can just hand the ball off to the running back as well. So just keep that in mind. But this, you'll see. I mean, look at that short post running the red zone. It's just a great route, and it's right there for you in a slot. And then, let's say, okay, they're giving us a little bit more of a, run right type of look. We have a quarterback power out of a wing slot type of stuff. It's that up close and with a stretch to the outside. So I think a lot of answers to things that they could do. The other thing that you could do out of this, which I think is really, really cool, is you could go to, I would zig this tight end on the left, and then you have that post. I'd actually leave that post there. But then what I would do with this spot is I'd probably put the running back on like a streak, and I'd actually motion this guy over on like an out or something just to pull defenders. And what you'll see here, and just flat him too once he crosses, is Brown is going to get really isolated on that short corner. So that's why X spot is such a money play in the red zone. Now, I know you were wondering whether or not we actually had some defense in this video, but we do. There are some ways to play defense, and really, they're kind of all essentially centered around the same basic principles, which we're going to share here with the kind of the core format. Going to go over a couple of the main formations as well. First and foremost, this 6-1 is really slept on. I will say that. Showtime had a pretty dominant run in the W3K Players Lounge, running 6-1. It is a good defense, and it does offer some things. One of the best ways to run it is with auto flip off. Really important, disable this motion response. Conservative, aggressive, conservative, conservative. And then if you want to have the close and pinch on the depth and width, you can. You're going to be in cover 4 quarters. You're going to be calling the Texas foreman stunt. And then what you're going to do is you're going to spread D-line, spread linebackers, and you're just going to blitz the linebacker on the side that you want. He's actually registered as a D lineman, but you're just going to blitz him on the side that you want the pressure to come in on. And a lot of times if you do the stunt, as you see, you're able to trigger a pretty consistent 5-man pressure, just doing that right there. One of the best tips I could give you is in these formations to QB contain on the opposite side of the blitzer. And really just, I think containing in general is the way to go right now. I just really do. I think containing is really important in this game because it does help a little bit with kind of the bumping that could occur. But anyway, very, very simple, but that is one way to run 6-1. Also, if you don't want to send 5, then you can just run the basic Texas 4-man stunt, which if you don't know how to run the Texas 4-man stunt, all you do is spread your D-line. Literally just spread your D-line out. If you want to hover over here, you can. But in general, this is by far and away, I think, if you really look at what they were doing, what players this weekend were doing from a pressure perspective and how they were consistently getting pressure on people, it was either Texas 4-man stunt or it was a crossfire loop, right? And we have both of those concepts in the Minnesota playbook. Another style of pressure that we were seeing was this right here out of like the 3-3. Really, it's also, you can do it in double mug. You could do it in anything really. I'll show it in double mug, but it's basically just mid blitz. But what you're gonna do is you're going to shift the linebackers to the right like this, And what we're seeing is that if you were to like user this guy, you're going to essentially get a clean pressure just like that, and that's a Sin 5. So you were seeing some of that in terms of a strategy that people would employ. The problem with this game right now on the defensive side of the ball is yellow zones are really, really bad. Like they've never been worse. And so, because of yellow zones being so bad, you were seeing people lurk on slot corners a lot more than you would originally. And I think it's just because the slot corner in this game is really just not as valuable. Still seeing a little bit of the basic mid blitz where you try to send six like this, but that send six by and large is gone. You're not really seeing that in terms of the best defensive players in the world. What you're seeing more of is almost basing out of like a cover two shell and then a spread linebacker look, a spread D line, spread linebacker look that is using the Texas four-man stunt. This was the main way that you would see people trying to get pressure from double mug in this game. The other way was really what I just showed you with the shift blitz, where you're going to shift the linebackers one way, you're going to blitz both of them down, and then you might, if you user this guy, the only difference is you're going to hit the center and then you're going to try to get off of him. It's really hard to get off of him in Madden, in my opinion. And so you see there, like it's really one of those two strategies. Let me flip this. So it would look something like this. And then you typically see a spread line look, and actually we want it more like this, but we get the spread line look. And then what I would recommend is either using the slot corner, but this really just turns this defense into effectively single mug. But that being said, you don't. The thing about it is you don't really have to hover in this either. So none of the defenses that I really saw being ran at a high level required a true traditional, with the exception of maybe 6-1, a true traditional hover. Normally, you could do a lot of different things with your user, which is kind of cool. So, anyways, that is the double mug stuff. And then single mug, this was far and away one of the defenses we saw. And when I talk about double mug and single mug, there are other versions of them. So here we're in Minnesota's playbook, and we're showing the 3-3 versions because the majority, probably 80 to 90% of the players this weekend were in the Minnesota playbook because it gave them the most amount of defenses. However, there were some really good defensive players that were in the Houston Texans defensive playbook because it has the nickel single mug, the nickel double mug, the nickel normal, or the nickel over, the big nickel over G. It had the normal versions, and the reason why they like those is because the normal version of the formation is going to get a little bit better alignment for the defensive ends to not get bumped when a tight end goes on a vertical route. Okay. So, anyways, single mug, the base defense really is the Texas four-man stunt. Just spread the D line out. You might leave this guy, you might pull him out, but basically it's this: send four and trust your stunt, because stunts are the way to play defense right now in this game. And really, it's just this stunt right here. Honestly, it's really just the Texas stunt because you see how glitchy it really is. All right. So that was really the center of defense. It was either maybe some edge pressure, but generally some either A gap pressure. And the thing about single mug that I wanted to mention real quick is if I blitz my linebackers, right, just like I did in double mug, you're going to see here that we're able to create basically the same defense effectively. And you're going to get that A gap pressure. Okay. So basically the same concept, same defense, same everything. It's just from a different formation. So that was really the first big concept, was really the double Texas, or the Texas four-man stunt. The second one was that straight down blitz angle that I just showed you with the single mug or the 3-4 tight or the 3-3 double mug, where they would shift them one way. But in general, those were all basically the same concept. And then the other one that I was going to show you was really just crossfire. And there are two different ones. So this one right here, we were seeing a little bit of this out of 2-3 Sam. And basically what you would do is you'd have autoflip off. And you would also see this a little bit out of dollar as well. And you would go SS zone blitz, and you would just slant your line to the right. And then from there, that's pretty much all you do. You just set your coverage up. So look like this. And this guy could sometimes just loop crazy through the A gap. So you had an A gap loop. That was one of the concepts, and that was your old school like free safety zone blitz, where you're basically trying to and really what you would see the big thing with those blitzes, the big thing with loop blitzes is you need to contain, in my opinion, that is the biggest thing. You contain, especially on the side that the guy is looping. Like if I want to blitz this guy, I can, but I kind of have to contain that outside guy on the left. And you'll see it makes this loop a lot more consistent. I'm not really hovering anyway. It's just going to make the loop more consistent if I contain consistently, which is a big, big deal. And then obviously, of course, we're seeing a lot of switch stick. And this one right here was a popular one, and this one was out of the dime 2-3 Sam. And I do think this one is pretty good. It's a pretty consistent A gap look when they send five out. The big issue is that typically when you set up any level of protection for a loop blitz in this game, you see right there, that was just base protection, and that A gap loop is pretty much killed. Now, that being said, the more overwhelming loop blitz defense, if you really wanted to get into it, was really dime 1-4. And the reason why it was dime 1-4, I think a couple. Number one, it's a B gap loop, and so it can actually come in against base protection a little bit more. And then number two, it is a symmetrical loop that you can send off of either side. So it was basically just crossfire. You could have auto flip on if you wanted to, and you just come out of this. And all you would do is QB contain. Some people would spread or pinch their line, but just QB contain is really all you need to do. You don't need to hover any which way whatsoever. So you would see people just kind of like hide on this user so that they wouldn't give their what they're doing away. And then at the snap of the ball, they would just run, to coverage, and you see there's that pressure. The biggest thing that they were doing to get this blitz to come home is they were containing. And I know it sounds like, well, that is one of the easiest blitzes ever. And, that is the game we play right now. It's a very simple blitzing game, but it's very complex in terms of coverages, really more so in switch stick. So from a coverage meta, really all of these defenses were send four based. You were sending four and you were lurking trying to get a stop, right? So you would see really one of 3 to 5 coverages that I saw pretty popular, which is number one, it was this right here. This is the fancy cover 4 that he ran last year pretty much. And what you would realistically do is you would switch on to this third a lot and then maybe switch to quarters based off of need. But really playing through your safeties out of a cover 4 switch stick shell. The one other thing that you would see these guys do is, let's say they're running a switch stick shell, but they're playing like a bunch set. Another little thing people would do, I wouldn't recommend it because vert hooks are so bad in this game, but they would actually switch stick onto that vert hook. So they'd have it like this, and then right at the snap of the ball, they would switch stick here, and they basically try to be like a flat and a yellow defender on the short side to try to steal an extra player to the wide side. So that was one of the coverages that you would see at a high level. The other coverage that was really, really popular was this one right here. This is known as Cover 3 Cloud. And this right here was very popular. And it would really be either way. This one also could be with a soft squat or a hard flat on the outside guy, depending on how aggressive the player wanted to be. But really simple defense here. You're just kind of lurking and really just playing through your yellow zones primarily. So anyways, that was Cover 3 Cloud. The other coverage that you would see people utilize a lot was cover 6. So the way that you would get to a cover 6 is you would basically set the defense up like this. Now, this cover 6 could either be with quarters like that on the right, or it could be with a third and a third. But the deep half on the short side, really effective for stopping any kind of cover 3 beaters that you might face. And so that's why this one was another popular coverage shell. And then really outside of that, the only other one that I was thinking like say like a base shell. This is a really good like long yardage shell, like 3rd and 15 or something. This is the Skimbo cover 2. What you're going to do is put both safeties and outside thirds, put both slot corners and vert hooks, and put both outside guys on clouds. And then in the key situations, you can shade that underneath for a short yardage defense as well. And that is kind of the cover 3 or the cover 2 kind of inverted, if you will, cover 3. What's crazy is Skimmo runs this with more of a switch stick emphasis. I think Zan was really the first one that was running this though, a ton in the community. Might have even been Deuce Close, so everything kind of comes back to Deuce Close, to be honest with you. But those are pretty much like the major shells that you're really seeing being ran. And then what you'll also get is you'll get an occasional like match coverage mix in, which if you didn't know, you can create match principles if you put the quarter zones with a seam flat. So I have the quarter zones here and I have a seam flat. And what you'll see this is good for is if they're running a corner route, the outside quarter will match him and he will normally play that corner route better. So, anyways, those are pretty much what you're seeing in terms of a coverage shell meta. And then as far as red zone defense, right now, this is really the main area that you're going to have a good chance at getting stops. Kind of seeing people do a lot of different things. It depending a little bit on like, are you coming out? The thing is, the run is not like amazing. So what a lot of people are doing is they're coming out in trips to pass, and they also have the QB run stuff. So what you're seeing people do right now in this game is they will actually go to like a nickel, could be a 6-1, of course, could be a 3-4 odd, like could be a lot of stuff, right? But they basically are going to go to a nickel cover 2. So 3-3 double mug, and we're going to go to cover 2. And you're going to spread your linebackers like this. And I know it looks a little wonky, but basically you're just going to put both safeties in curl flats. You shade it down so everything's going to play underneath. And then generally what you're going to do is you're going to try to shoot this QB run with your user over the middle. And then if they do run the ball in the middle of the field, obviously, it is what it is. What the other thing you're seeing, a big thing though, is you're seeing a huge amount of like just QB containing in the red zone. Really, really important. If they do run the ball at the quarterback, this is going to do a pretty decent job because you have the flat defenders. Now, the thing about it is if they run the ball like with their running back, then obviously like a duo or something, this could be a little different. Now, I do know that they don't have like a QB run threat here, so I could change my stuff up. But you see, in general, we do okay against a running back route. It's really more the quarterback runs that are super crazy. And this is specific to like, again, like a trips type or a shotgun based set. If they're going to run the ball, pretty much you're still seeing 6-1. From what we've still kind of been seeing is really just a 6-1 in the red zone or 3-4 odd. And basically what you're going to get here is you're going to get this like manually sliding of these guys a little bit outside. And then I would probably suggest like pinching, but generally you're just trying to shoot this run as you see. I mean, and then and obviously when you're playing a formation like this, you're not really expecting a pass. You're expecting more of like a heavy run set. You got to be able to stop what their main thing. So if you wanted to set up a pass defense from this, what you would do is you would just drop these outside guys into flats. You would then drop your safeties into hooks, and then you would drop your corners into a cloud. And then I would just leave, if they're in a formation like this where they have two receivers to a side, then I would honestly leave it just like this right here. Because you're also going to be good against bubble screens or anything like that if you needed to stop that. So that is the main way that people are getting stops in the red zone. Obviously, you still have to actually, shoot the run, but generally speaking, this is going to give you a pretty good chance to get downhill with your user and play good defense down here. One other formation, if someone is really running on you and your 6-1 is not working, another thing that people will do down here is they will jump into the 60 out jacks. Basically with this, what you're going to do is you're going to pinch your D-line, spread your linebackers. It looks something like that. And then you're going to basically do what we just did. We have the flat defenders. So like on the outside, we'd probably cloud flat that guy or put him on a zone or whatever we need to do, right? But we would have him on something. And then we would have these linebackers and hooks like this. And then normally what you see is they'll like walk this guy out. And if you want to leave him on a cloud, you can, or you can leave him on that hard flat. Normally people just leave him on the hard flat, to be honest with you. And then if you really wanted a little bit more coverage, just take the defensive ends and put them in curl flats. They'll kind of flow out to the corners late. But this is a little bit stronger of a run D, obviously. And you still maintain, like, this effectively is 6-1 if you really look at it. Like, you have 4, you have these, this is your 6, right? Your 6 of the 6-1. And then the only difference is really your this guy right here, he's kind of a hybrid safety. And then this is your 2 safeties. This would obviously be your user in a traditional 6-1. But what's nice about this is it's pretty much set up for you. Just yellow. Basically, you just need 2 yellows here, and you're pretty much good against most stuff, right? Obviously, if they're hitting you with stuff, maybe don't man these guys up. You can drop them in zones as well. But this is a good defense because it's so stout against the run and the stretch specifically, which is really nice. And then let's say somebody is on the goal line. Let's say somebody's trying to hit you with they actually come out in goal line or goal line type personnel. They're going to want to go to a quarterback sneak. What most people like to do here is this gaps defense, gaps B. And basically all you're going to do is you're going to pinch your D line, you're going to pinch your linebackers, and then you're going to take this guy right here. Take this guy right here, and you're going to stand in this A gap like so. You're going to pull up the stunt menu because when you do that, you're not going to be able to move. And you'll see here, or you could also just, in this example, we can't pull up the stunt menu. So what you can do is what was I going to do here? There we go. You can pull up the substitution menu, which is up on the D-pad. And now you see I'm holding down and I can't move. And they run and you're able to blow up the sneak. So anyway, you don't have to do that. If you just kind of like preset it, you're going to be fine. But really the biggest key to stopping sneak is this 5-3. This is the sneak one, generally speaking. And this also going to do a really good job. Let's say you guess wrong and they run power O. You're going to blow that up as well. So that is really what we're seeing from an offensive and defensive meta in Madden 26 right now. If you guys want to get any of my full offensive or defensive ebooks, head to our school community, and that will be linked in the description below.